An efficient finish from South Africa for their fans, maybe a little too late in the tournament, but nonetheless, it was what Faf du Plessis craved for at the toss, and it was what he got. A simple thing called a win, which was eluding him all through the World Cup. My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live here to wrap it all up from Chester Street in Durham. Sri Lanka just not turning up, definitely not the side, a shadow of the side that beat England and threw this entire tournament wide open. Let's remind you of what's happened so far. Faf du Plessis so close to 100. Really good news for him. The one captain who hadn't really turned up to the tournament now puts his name up there with a 96 not out. Hashim Amla too, questions were being asked, and he showed that his wrist work, his eyesight, all is well with 80 not out. Just to wrap things up, Joy Bhattacharya, Zaheer Khan, these are the two batsmen we spoke about, almost as if we were goading them on with our preview, and they've both answered.
What we're talking about in the preview, we're talking about their batting has not been consistent. They are not getting that top order contribution was their biggest concern, and that this is what happens, when you have 150-run partnership between Faf and Amla. They got that partnership and set a platform. So that is something which is very important. If you have to win matches, both the things have to come together. It is not only one discipline. Today. Ngidi didn't play, Dale Steyn was not there, but the bowlers who played contributed and put up a really good show. So that's something which always goes with cricket. I think South Africa should be very happy with this win. All the fans should back their team, because you back them through and through. They're putting their heart out there. It's been a tough World Cup for them, so this is the time when they need more support. So I think that encouragement should be given, and for South Africa it's good that they've taken this victory. And now in the last one also, who are they playing against? Last one, Australia.
Well, we'll just confirm that. I think it's a big game. They've got Australia left.
I think they should win that one as well, and then go home with some smiles on their faces.
Oh, they'll have huge smiles on their faces if they can beat Australia, because Australia will, in all likelihood, be looking at that as a perhaps 1, 2, 3 where they qualifying kind of game. But Joyce, not always do numbers tell a tale, but in this case, the only 2 games where South Africa picked up a 100 partnership, guess what happened? They won.
They won the game, absolutely. That's what we've been talking about. And top order partnerships. You can't have partnerships at 6 and 7 and 3 and 4. You need top order partnerships. That's a kind of, it's what you call a classical 50 over partnership. A run rate of going at about 80, 85, 90, started at 3, 3.5, 4. Towards the end, you accelerate, you end up at about 5.5, almost 5.5 and over. They did it clinically, they did it well, they accelerated in the middle, they attacked a bit, but never took an undue risk. And that's what they were very clear about, that, given the target, let's cut out all risk from the game. So the only wicket that they gave away, if you see, you look at that, it's very consistent in terms of what they've done. And if their scoring is a bit higher in the 11 to 20, it's because they attacked the loose ball very successfully. And once Malinga went off, their attack didn't have the kind of, bite to it that it did. The only wicket that they lost was to a good ball. It wasn't the wicket that they threw away. So, I think they did everything right, what was in their control.
And that gap that you saw, 48 runs for Sri Lanka in a key period of 20 overs versus a huge number of runs for South Africa
90.
at the same time. If you can see the exact one being 106.
It's about 106.
106 versus 48. That's the gap. That's the gap between the two teams.
That's a game. That's literally the game.
So I think, apart from South Africa now, Sri Lanka, of course, let's remind everybody that they're not out yet. They would have wanted this to try and get to the 12 points. They can still get to 10, but now things start going out of their own hands. Now they're hoping for England to lose both their matches, because even one win for England means they're level on 10, but England have more wins because they've got 2 from washouts.
I know there are so many permutations and combinations still, but I think Sri Lanka will be disappointed. They were very upbeat to start with. I think this game was very important for them to set the tone for the 12 points which we are talking about. This was in a way a bit of a dampener of sorts. That they could have turned things around. Beating England, you come in this match playing against South Africa, who's having a tough World Cup. So a lot of things were going their way. You've seen it with Pakistan also. Once they had that win in the previous match against New Zealand, they were upbeat, and they took the game to the opposition, got those early breakthroughs. I think Sri Lanka also tried doing that, but they didn't really give respect to the wicket in that initial phase when they lost that first early wicket, and that recovery happened. After that they should have consolidated. So I think when they're walking away from this game, their morale will be very down. So the demons of the beginning of the tournament will come back to haunt them, I think, going forward. So that's why, even though mathematically I think it's a possibility that they can go through on 10 points. Don't forget they're playing India as well, so that's not going to be an easy game for them. So I think pretty much you see that team don't have the firepower in terms of bowling. Malinga really tried his best today. You could see the way he was running in. It was heartening to see him putting that effort and leading by example. Trying to create that energy on the field. But the fact was, once you get out at the score, which was way below par on this track, was always going to be difficult.
I'll tell you one stat that tells you the story of this game most effectively. Okay. 34, 29, 51, 29, 41, 46, 25, 32. This is batsmen 2 to 8 of Sri Lanka, the number of balls they played. That means each and every one of these batsmen, other than Karunaratne, Pereira, Avishka Fernando, Kushal Mendis, Matthews, Dhananjay De Silva, Jeevan Mendis, Thisara Pereira, all got starts. Each and every one of them got a start. And they could not convert it.
Yeah.
And if your batsman, look, if Thisara Pereira doesn't convert a start, I can understand it. He's not expected to. But if 5 of your top 6 batsmen have got a start and they cannot make anything out of it more than 30, then you have a problem. And that is the story of the game today. If one of those guys had got going, you would have had 240, 250. If it was even 240, 250, South Africa couldn't have afforded to bat the way they did.
But what is it? I mean, if you had to really try and break it down, yes, you've put the numbers in there, but what about what happened up there? What did they do against England that they haven't done in this game and so many other games in this tournament?
See, my belief is the one thing that they had against England was it was an unexpected target. They didn't, they lost their way completely. Remember, they're nowhere. They have no chance of winning. Even in that match, they started off average. We are cursing Angelo Matthews for batting the way he is, and they suddenly meander to a total. Suddenly, towards the end, they get a few runs. They reach to 20-30. Suddenly Malinga gets that wicket and they see a hope. So far, there's no expectation of winning the game. Then suddenly you get 2 more wickets, there's hope. So you're acting on the situation. Here, you've gone into
there was expectation.
There's expectation already. I have a chance. Iske pehle I had no chance. The day I was playing England, I'm out of the World Cup. I've not won a single match except Afghanistan. Who am I? Now suddenly I have a chance. The pressure is on me.
Yeah, that's the game we're talking
That's exactly the case. We have a chance. Let's show the intent. So that intent and being positive was seen in the first 10 overs. In the process, lost wicket, and then they went too defensive. Then from there, suddenly that, the wicket is last match also we won with 230, 240 runs. Let's first get to 240, 230. But the platform was set for 280, 285. So you actually let go of that platform and you go in the shell because you think, okay, we have to get another 130, 140 runs. So that's something which you look at with 40 overs to go. So suddenly you go too much in shell, and that's what happened today. Took too much time rather than playing at that 4.5 runs per over. Looking to rotate the strike. Take single, double, and put pressure on the bowlers on loose balls. You saw how Imran Tahir started his spell today. He bowled one really rank short one, but that was the moment, they could have put more pressure on him. I mean, they let him settle also in that middle phase. So even if Imran Tahir had a off day, went wicketless in 10 overs, he has only gone for some 36 runs. So that tells you the story. Just from that aggressive mindset to going to very defensive mindset has cost Sri Lanka the game today.
By that logic, then they have no expectation when they play India. They'll be dangerous.
I think they will be dangerous, but I don't think, this team, the problem is, I don't think the batting has, as you said, Avishka is a very exciting batsman, but now we are beginning to understand perhaps why he was not given a definite seat even at the start of it, because obviously somewhere they also
Temperament
realized
to last, to play
he has
big
a tendency to throw away good starts, because he played some brilliant shots in both games, and both games he gave it away. I mean, one game it happens, you get out to a bad shot, it happens, all of them do, but to do it game after game, somewhere it tells you that so that's what they don't have, that class batsman at one time. Angelo was the class batsman at one time, but somehow he's not been in form. Karunarashtra is struggling. They just don't have the batting firepower. I mean, I think Malinga is doing the best that he can. It's not that the bowlers are doing that badly. I think it's the batting that's letting them down.
But on the other side, you'll have to compliment South Africa. Never mind if it's too late. They did want to win. They got the win and they ticked several boxes. We've already spoken about the batsmen, but every department you look at, even among the bowlers, okay, no Ngidi was playing. Who comes back for him? Dwayne Pretorius. Has he done enough in the tournament? Well, he put his hand up and took wickets today. So
didn't try to be fancy today. Just focused on the areas, focused on the processes. He got to bowl majority of his overs before 35 overs, so that also helped. So it was overs being smartly used. Also, he was very prepared in terms of keeping things simple. He didn't try these exaggerated bouncers or a lot of slow ones. I think he just kept hung in that area, got the percentage of the deliveries in the decent area where he was getting that little spongy bounce and awkward bounce, and got those wickets as well. If you look at the wickets also, it was not out and out extraordinary deliveries which bowlers will be very happy with. It was a result of the processes which were followed by a particular bowler on that particular day. So that's how we approached the match. Chris Morris has been in decent form right throughout this World Cup, has been among the wickets as well, and looked in decent rhythm also. So that was good. It's just that Rabada has been on the expensive side, but he has been making that impact in terms of getting those wickets. I mean, if you look at the earlier games also, he's on his bowling, there were a few catches being dropped. I felt that this World Cup for Rabada was not so much with being out of rhythm. It was just a World Cup where he was frustrated, and that was affecting his bowling and his mental approach while he was playing the matches.
And of course, he didn't have enough going for him in terms of support and runs on the board to play with.
Absolutely. One is runs on the board. Secondly, as you said, again, whenever Ngidi bowled a good spell on the other side, Rabada looked much better as a bowler. So somewhere there, bowlers also need pressure on the other end for you to get wickets. Otherwise, Rabada, there's a tendency, and what happens with younger bowlers especially, is that when they get frustrated, they tend to experiment. They'll try too much, they'll try this, they'll try that. It happens with every young bowler because they won't have that discipline to say, okay, let me keep doing this, the wicket will come. When you want a wicket, you try too hard, and I felt this time Rabada was sometimes trying too hard, more than anything else.
It's early days, but Australia would have been watching this match knowing that this is their last possible opponent. And now that they're looking to sign off, they've got Amla in form, they've got Faf back in form, they'll be thinking, oh dear, it's not a passage through to number 1 or 2, wherever they were looking to go.
Look, the thing is, it all also depends on the India-England match. If India win the India-England match, then Australia will be saying that we can't afford to drop points at all in the last day. If we drop points against England, then they'll tell themselves they've got a chance to be number 1.
Otherwise, 2 or 3 is the same thing for them. Let's just look at the points table. In fact, we haven't quite done that, and confirm why we're talking about what we are. Australia at the moment on top, but remember, India have played one less game. They've got that one loss, which India still don't, just the no result. For Sri Lanka and South Africa, Sri Lanka on 6 with 2 games to go, which means they can get to a possible 10 points and join England on 10 if England were to win only one of their 2 games. They're playing India, they're playing New Zealand. For South Africa, it's not about points anymore. It's just about finishing their 9th game with a possible 7 points and looking much more respectable than being towards the bottom of the table.
The interesting part about this is, notice now that, let's go back to that, run rate will not actually play a factor. Because the way the table is now organized, Pakistan and Bangladesh, basically one of them will knock the other out. So if you have to get to 11, one will knock the other out because Pakistan is playing Bangladesh, right? So only one of those guys can get to 11, okay? If you look at the other, if it's England and Sri Lanka who end up on 10 points, England goes forward because they have, Sri Lanka, remember, it's number of wins before anything else. So in effect, that part of the table, 4th place will not be decided by run rate, it will be decided by points or wins. Which is actually good because run rate sometimes is an unfair way because, some games are shortened, somebody's just scored a few extra runs. I feel it's better that it goes via points than any other way.
Yeah, especially if it's qualification, maybe net run rate to decide second or third can be all right. But yeah, in terms of fourth versus fifth, it can be a bit heartbreaking. We still have a couple of orders of business. One of them is our My 11 Circle MVP, our most valuable player with the most number of points. And naturally, with that knock of 96 not out, it could easily have been 100. They could just have had a little conversation about how to get there. But 96 not out is still enough for Faf du Plessis to have the most number of points. And we also have a winner of our My 11 Circle Beat the Expert champion, Arun Jha from Madhya Pradesh. Wow, we're going all over the country. We've covered UP, Rajasthan, Haryana, Bengal, Karnataka not too long ago. And now Arun Jha from Madhya Pradesh picks it up with 464 points. Yes, the secret there, the key there is that you're not going to get a 500 or 600 with 200 plus being chased down so easily. So that's it. Well done, Arun. We've got lots more winners to come because we've got similar games happening every single day. Now, as we look ahead, we've not got one, but we've got a double header coming up for you on Super Saturday. First up, it's Pakistan taking on Afghanistan. Once again, a similar game to today because it's Pakistan who have everything to play for. Afghanistan playing for pride, already eliminated from the tournament. So let's talk about that and then we'll talk about the second game after that. Pakistan, Afghanistan, we just mentioned that they've got the momentum, they're upbeat, they've come after that New Zealand game and they'll know that Afghanistan are never a formality, but if they keep playing the way they do, then it will be a formality.
Pakistan will be actually happy that they're playing in Leeds. So that's one thing because on a slow turning track, you know how effective Afghanistan spinners can be. So if they get opportunity of bowling those 30-35 overs of spin, suddenly they're a completely different team, and they play these slow scoring matches well. So if whenever they're batting, they've pretty much approached their batting innings in that same fashion where they go slow, they take time, they look to play the 50 overs. That's their approach, and hope that their hitters, which are Rashid and Nabi, come good. So even the previous match, Nabi got out on 0, Rashid got out on 0, and then they don't get that back end power. So these are the only two players who actually provide some kind of power for them. Rahman Shah has been their backbone of batting, so that's been their formula. So they've played some decent last couple of matches. Created winning moments, winning opportunities for them, which they can take confidence from. So they will be looking to use the same kind of confidence against Pakistan, because they've come close to winning matches against Pakistan as well, particularly in Asia Cup. So that is something which they will look at the game from. Pakistan, as we know that they are looking a different side altogether right now. With the momentum with them. Carrying that momentum forward and taking confidence from the things which have been coming together for them. So first batting came together with Haris Sohail scoring those runs. Then now bowling that early impact, Amir getting those wickets, and Shaheen Afridi bowling that good spell. So I think Pakistan would look at this match as, okay, let's just build on whatever we've created in the last couple of matches, the momentum, and take more confidence going forward. Make sure that we focus on the processes and not get complacent that they are playing Afghanistan.
I think Shaheen Afridi is sort of the Avishka Fernando of Pakistan. Sitting out initially and then you're asking where was he all this time.
Absolutely. And look, I think the interesting thing is I wonder what they'll do, because I see Afghanistan's game is very much bat first, get 250 and hope to restrict them, because I don't think they have the experience in their batting order to feel they can chase anything successfully over this thing. So my big thing is I'm wondering, I don't think Pakistan will mind chasing as well, because they chased so well last time and they did so well, and it gives them their bowlers a first look at it, and bowlers with the quality that they have now. Mohammad Abid's come back again. Where was he for the last 2 years? What is it? Without a World Cup he can't bowl. I don't understand it. Shaheen Afridi is looking good. So they've got a good bowling attack. I think they'd like to have had a go at them. And what's the Leeds pitch like? Is it much better than much faster?
Used to be decent for bowling, but now I think the first match which they played there was a high scoring match there. So But it won't be a Turner.
It won't be Southampton. I mean,
It will be
geographically, it's about as far from Southampton as you can get in that small country.
Rashid Khan will not think he's got a lottery ticket. It won't be that kind of.
Up north, usually you get some movements, and then pitches are usually bowling friendly. But the weather has been good in the last week, so that's something should play a part, as it always does in England.
But trust me, if you can see sun in Durham, it means the weather is really good.
Yeah.
I don't think they know what that is in those parts.
I know, we saw so much sun today, unbelievable.
Also, another name we haven't mentioned, but always a class act and delivering is Babar Azam. He's not only looked good, but he's delivered, and this is the business end of the tournament.
That 100 against New Zealand will go a long way for him in this tournament. Before the tournament also, everyone has been talking about him, that one guy to look for from the Pakistan team was certainly Babar, and he has lived up to the expectations. And Harris Sohail has come very good, so that is another plus. You need two batsmen to come together so that you can have that impact, isn't it? Like we've seen that if only one batsman is carrying the innings through and through all the time, then it gets a bit one-sided and too much. You need partnerships happening. You've seen it with New Zealand as well. The fact that Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor had that impact in the middle overs and middle order. That's what sets that platform of winning matches. But one thing which Pakistan will be thinking, that they should have finished that last game with a better net run rate, so they could have had an impact on that net run rate, which may come into play later, because if England wins both the games, then even if Pakistan gets to that 11 points, they may not be able to go through to the semis.
England will never end up.
It's going to be odd numbers.
England will never end up on. England can either do 8 or 10 or 12.
No, New Zealand. So, but New Zealand can lose next two games and stay on 11.
Then between New Zealand and them, it could be third.
Because New Zealand is playing Australia and England.
Yeah. So
that last match might become an interesting one.
Yeah, and they could end up. You're right. New Zealand, it could be a New Zealand, Pakistan third, fourth. And look, nobody would want to face whoever's first, because whoever's first will be the informed team, basically.
All of you who threw your calculators away, please take them out of the trash can and keep them with you.
Yes.
You might need to use them.
Exactly. This is the problem. All the theory I did, I completely forgot that the Pakistan can end up with, or Bangladesh can end up tying with New Zealand. New Zealand is the other factor which we never thought of.
One thing is for sure,
either
Bangladesh or Pakistan will get to that 11 points. They're playing against each other.
No, both can get to 9. They might not get to 11.
But I think 11 is something. I think teams will get to 11.
I hope somebody gets.
One of the teams will get to 11.
All right, let's have one more look. Let's have one more.
We need to have one more look.
Yes. Let's just keep it there and do the whole show with the points table. All right. So there we go. So
see, Pakistan plays who? Pakistan plays Bangladesh and Pakistan plays Afghanistan. So Pakistan can get to 11 if they beat both. What does Bangladesh's last match is against India? Okay.
No, that means Bangladesh is finishing on 9, or say Bangladesh finishing on 7.
Yeah. So
I'm presuming India beating Bangladesh.
The assumption is therefore only Bangladesh. So only Pakistan really theoretically could end up in 11, and New Zealand could easily lose against both Australia and India and England and end up on 11. By which time, if England have won that and lost against us, yes, it will be New Zealand, Pakistan on 11, England on 10.
All right. So we need the calculators. And by the way, while that points table was on, I hope none of you heard that we were sort of whispering that India beating Bangladesh. We were just assuming that, because you have to take an if you're trying to get a theoretical.
He has to keep protecting his Bangladesh visa. Every time we have any trouble, he's worried about his Bangladesh visa. Bichara,
yeah, because
I can see that stamp. Nikalo, pull it out again.
I had got myself almost citizenship, almost residence permit I had got, and then I'm losing it all. But let's have a look at the squads, because do we think there could be possible changes? Let's take the Pakistan squad first, because there's going to be an interesting addition to the Afghanistan squad to talk about. We'll talk about that in a moment. They're looking good, they're looking settled, and once you've got Shaheen Afridi, I don't think you really want to touch the bowling. I mean, is there much to talk about in this?
I think that screen presence for this squad should be 2 seconds. That's how that meeting is going to go in terms of playing 11.
Gone.
It's gone.
In Pakistan think tank, they'll just say, okay, fine, things are going good. Let's just go with the same playing 11, unless there is some forced change.
Obviously, unless there's an injury. That's what you really want as a team. You know you've got a 15-member squad. Everyone deserves a place in the 11. That's why they're there. But if you've got the set 11, keep going with it. Now there's an issue with Afghanistan. We've already had problems with Mohammad Shahzad. We've had captaincy problems with Asghar Afghan. Now we've got another problem. With disciplinary reasons, one of their players has been replaced. Aftab Alam has been replaced. So there's a new member, more problems for Afghanistan, and that's a new name in the squad. Syed Shirzad comes in there to replace him. He didn't bowl too badly, but disciplinary issues, he has been replaced. Talk about problems for
There's
Afghanistan.
a lot going on there. You can make out, it's like right now Afghanistan looks like a duck. Everything seems okay on the top, but there's some pedaling furiously under the water. You can make out the duck is moving the feet furiously. I don't know what is going on and how, it's really sad because, administration now, you have 2-3 iconic players around the country and you might not get such a good crop of players. It doesn't come up all the time that you have Mujib, Rashid, Nabi, all have come up and they're all good together at the same time. And if the administration throws this away in trying to throw the book at the players, I think it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, and they've been dealing with this issue right throughout the World Cup. Discipline, yes, there has to be something for them to take the action. But I think there is more to it than what meets the eye. So let's see. But for Afghanistan, that doesn't mean the playing 11 is going to change. They'll still go with the same playing 11. Aftab was not part of the previous match, right?
No, because he had made way for Daulat Zadran, who came back in.
Yeah.
So it'll be the same playing 11 for both the teams going into tomorrow's match.
There you go. Simple as that. That's what we look forward to, a match like that, which means it makes it that much easier if you've already, like me, started choosing your teams in advance, your My 11 Circle teams. Get in there, download the app if you haven't. And of course, there's plenty of prizes at stake, including Dada Kavada, which is 5 times the amount of cash if you can beat the expert. There's 2 matches to choose from. So select Afghanistan versus Pakistan first and make your teams based on what we feel will be the identical 11s. Of course, you can change it when the toss happens. But we've got a second match, and that is going to be an absolute cracker. New Zealand against Australia. Not only is it a traditional rivalry, the great Trans-Tasman rivalry, and it's all happening at Lourdes in London, but in the context of this particular World Cup, it's an even more vital game. So New Zealand-Australia, always a great game, but the way
It's also a replay of the finals.
Also a replay of the 2015 World Cup final, lest we forget. But it's stacked up so nicely. Australia at the moment sitting pretty on top. New Zealand looking as the team to beat in the tournament. And now I think the winner of this match will make a strong statement.
Big statement. Also, Australia really, they've had their first loss and they've come back strongly. If New Zealand win this one, they'll be looked on as very, very strong contenders. Australia, if they win this, then they'll be cruising. They'll be looking to sort of cement their first place. I think it's going to be a cracker of a match. Lots at stake. And more than anything else, I think both these teams will qualify. It's going to be bragging rights. Of course, if New Zealand loses, and what happens is, he says, Pakistan starts catching up on run rate, then life will get very interesting.
I think for timing of this match for New Zealand team is wrong. Because Australia is the first team to qualify and they've been growing in confidence in this World Cup. Now they know that their work in a way is done. They got that cue which matters on that points table. They're going to play more freely. They've already playing really good cricket in this tournament. Barring India's match, they've pretty much won close matches as well. The one which they won against West Indies particularly gave them a lot of boost in confidence. So for New Zealand, for that reason, it's going to be very difficult to win this match. Because they when the pressure is off, you come out there and express yourself freely. Wherein New Zealand is going in with the mindset that what if we get stuck on these 11 points? So it's going to be about dealing with pressure, not only just playing against Australia, and Australia coming out hard at them with a very free mindset, no pressure of having to qualify or thinking of the points table or net run rate for that matter. The New Zealand got lucky with the last game, running away with keeping their net run rate intact. So there's always a possibility that you might have that big loss and has a great impact. And tomorrow Pakistan actually winning against Afghanistan with a big margin, then things start to get tricky. So I think from that point of view, it will be a crucial game for New Zealand because their batting has been under little bit of pressure. It's good that Neesham came along and rescued them with that brilliant 96. But for that team, it's very important. Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor hang in together at least for 10 overs. I think if they play for like 10-15 overs together, then the platform is set.
But you want the platform to be set by two gentlemen who we haven't even mentioned. Williams and Taylor should ideally be playing with a platform already set
It
from
doesn't
gentlemen
matter.
called Bolt,
It doesn't matter there.
Guptill and Munro.
It doesn't matter there.
Guptill is the highest run scorer for the 2015 World Cup, and he's just not come to the party. It's a big one.
I know Williamson and Taylor are high-class players, but they would like a few.
See, even if they get a great start, even if they get a start like how Sri Lanka got today with no wicket, right? So 70 no loss, and in the next say 5 or 7 overs they lose 2 wickets. They still need Williamson and Ross Taylor to bat together for at least 10 to 15 overs. I think that's their formula of winning. You know, how you keep throwing numbers at, I don't know, Virat has to score this many. If Rohit gets 50, then, you know, this is what happens.
India win 80% of the time. No.
Exactly. So it's so with New Zealand team is that middle orders, because their approach of playing the match, their brand of cricket is like that they don't mind sacrificing those 1 or 2 wickets at the top, because they want to set that tempo and absorb pressure in the middle overs. And who is going to absorb the pressure in the middle overs? These two gentlemen there.
But it would be, I mean, now that their opposition is that much better in Australia, they'd want that they'd
want
come
their
to the
top
party,
of the fire,
because we know that with New Zealand's schedule, if you have a look at it, like England, they're finishing with the strongest teams. And have a look at that. Australia and England to finish with in that schedule. I'm not saying there's any easy games as such, but if you look at the context of the tournament, they started with Sri Lanka, they started with that narrow win against Bangladesh, but nonetheless a good win. And you see how topsy-turvy it's been in terms of the hardest teams
Exactly.
last.
And they're going to hit a very, very, they're going to hit Australia, who doesn't care, and likely England will be desperate by then. Having lost to India, will be desperate by then. So I think,
You said that with a straight face.
yeah, absolutely. They'll be desperate by then. So they'll really go hard at us. So no, I genuinely believe that. But that's what I'm saying. I think New Zealand has done it, but they probably need a bit more from the top order, but they haven't got it. And as he says, so far the keys have been Williamson and Williamson and Taylor. If they fail, they'll really struggle, because this is not going to be a 250, 260 game. Unlikely to be a 250. These are two teams who know how to score well, and unless something disastrous happens, expect a 300, 310, 320 target.
One thing I can say in conclusion to that last comment, Joy, your passport is intact. Can't say visa, but passport is absolutely intact. Let's have a look at the two squads. New Zealand, remember, have gone through this tournament, and it's very rare without making a single change. No room for Blundell Nichols, Tim Southee or Ish Sodhi yet in the tournament. Now, the only questions that really have been asked are Martin Guptill and Colin Munro, but the management has said, look, you're good enough, keep on with it. Do you see a change finally against a team like Australia at Lords?
The only thing, look, very unlikely, but if there's any change to make, I'd turn around and say that even on a surface like this, does it make sense to throw in a spinner, because the Australians may not be that. Do I change anything against a team which I think is better than me? That's all. I wouldn't, but I mean, odds on I wouldn't, because my team seems to be giving me whatever it is. But see, when do you change? I change when I think you're better than me and I need to do something different. And
or horses for courses for a particular.
Or horses for courses for a very particular thing.
Which they should have used in the previous match, where the wicket was helping
maybe
spin. There was enough indication that there might be a little bit of help for the spinners, and they didn't opt for it.
And Santa did get some turn.
And another possible change is Henry Nichols coming, right?
For Munro?
Yeah. So that's the only debate they'll have. Guptill has added.
Yeah, Munro has had a pretty average start. And he's thrown away his wicket so many times that, you know.
Yeah, and Guptill.
But also, you know, it also sends a signal of desperation after that last loss. So they might have a debate on that and stick to no change and then play the same playing 11.
All right, that's how Kane Williamson has been doing it. Every time he's asked at the toss, did you consider Henry Nichols? Did you consider Ish Sodhi, Tim Southee? Oh, I consider everyone. I'm just not taking them in the team. That's all. That's been Kane Williamson's theory. Let's have a look at Australia and how lethal they were. And I think along with everything Zaheer Khan just said, they'll have the advantage of having just played at Lords and having just beaten England at Lords, with the likes of Behrendorff looking lethal, with Finch and Warner so solid up top. Anything to even look at, or can we get rid of the squad?
I think they've settled in. I mean, the interesting one is the experiment that they did, the Nathan Lyon for Zampa, and I'm wondering whether how many.
Coulter for Jason Behrendorff came in the last one, I think.
Yeah, those are the only two changes that they've been doing.
Behrendorff's not going anywhere for about 10 years.
Just
after that 5-5,
Behrendorff stays.
Yeah.
Zampa for this thing, I still learn how many left-handers does the New Zealand top order have?
Well, they've got
They have Munro if Munro
Munro,
plays.
really. Otherwise, it's a solid right-hand combination.
Nisham has
Nisham at 6.
Latham, Tom Latham is there.
But I'm wondering whether they will.
Can they drop Latham?
They could.
What's their wicket keeping option? Because he has been in bad touch. You know, he's someone who has been getting out.
We'll have a look at it again.
Yeah.
Their other keeper is Tom Blundell, who's not got the experience. This is where we were. I remember when India were in New Zealand, Simon Dool was talking a lot about Tom Blundell, but he's not tried and tested at this level.
Correct. They said he was work in progress is the words Simon Dool used. Maybe it's true.
Yeah. So you from Australia side you might see a leggy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That maybe Lyon for Zampa for Lyon, because Lyon that played against Pakistan for a specific purpose, so very, very likely for that.
Yeah, fair enough. So that's what we feel. One possible change there. Otherwise, both teams looking fairly settled, looking to renew an old rivalry. And of course, let's keep reminding you, it's a repeat of the 2015 World Cup final. A few things to unravel on this show, few things to unravel tomorrow, one more thing to unravel tonight. And that is the question we put to you at the very start of the show.
Okay, this was a fairly decent question, but an easy one compared to some of the nasty ones I've given you. A record being broken twice in the same innings in a World Cup match, that doesn't happen too often. In fact, it's happened only once. And this is the record, and this is what happened. It was the West Indies versus Canada game. And what exactly happened was Wavell Hines and Brian Lara were batting. Wavell Hines broke the record for the fastest 50 made it in 24 balls. And within a couple of overs, Brian Lara made a 50 in 23 balls, breaking his record. So I think he held the record for about 10 minutes. You know, he must be feeling, I've just made a world record. I've held it for just 10 minutes and then it's gone again.
Absolutely bizarre. I mean, you think of the Olympic Games and we often talk about how long the longevity of records. Some last 30, 40, 50 years and some are broken in.
Correct. It's like the long jump, which lasted for the longest time. Bob Beamon lasted till 2005 it lasted. And some finish in that series only. In the heats, a record is made. In the finals, a record is broken.
Yes, what a combination it was. And of course, Canada were the team who also had the record-breaking, I was going to say the John-breaking record, Davison.
Correct. That was, on the same match, was the World Cup record for the fastest 100 by John Davison.
There you go. We could sneak that into that record. I just spoiled another one of your questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, would we have a winner for this question and who is it? Oh, it's okay. It's still someone in the top 5. Sharat Shetty. Sharat 1819. We haven't quite solved the mystery of 1819, have we?
1819 we haven't.
Yeah, birth date we've kind of ruled out, birth year.
Unless his name is Sharat Napoleon or something.
Yeah. Anyway, well done Sharat, not for answering the question. Well done for keeping Rohit Yadav out of the equation. Rohit? I didn't catch you unawares, did I?
Nothing to say.
All right, as that wraps up our show. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Zaheer. But we've got just a reminder for all of you that because it's a double header and we've got a big game, the repeat of the 2015 World Cup final, so crucial for qualification that we are not only going to be keeping an eye on what's happening between Pakistan and Afghanistan, we're going to come on air at 5:30 in the evening local time here and bring you following that particular game between Australia and New Zealand and take it to its conclusion. So we're going to keep an eye on both games, but the one we'll follow to the end is from 5:30 in the evening, 6 o'clock start as far as first ball is concerned. It's going to be Australia versus New Zealand from Lourdes. That's all we have on the show today. Join us again tomorrow evening. My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live.